Thank you very much. Okay, now that we're all on the same page here, I have a few questions to ask the panel. The two panels will go back and forth with some of those. Now, I have some questions that are a little more theoretical, some questions a little more practical. I'll ask one side the question, give the other side the opportunity for a short rebuttal. If you'd like me to come back to you for the last word, I'm certainly open to that. You can just indicate. It doesn't have to be too formal. We just want to make sure that we keep it moving. At the end of this, we'll be opening up to audience questions. So please keep in mind what kind of questions you may want to ask our panel, because you'll have the opportunity to do so shortly. First off, I'll ask this question to both panels. Do you believe that the state of Utah can or should be race fair or colorblind? We'll ask the pro panel first.
Well, I think...
It's on, yeah.
It's on, go ahead.
I think that all government agencies should be, quote, colorblind. Diversity is important. The question is, how do we get it? If we get it by some government official orchestrating it, engineering it, I respectfully think that's inappropriate, because it amounts to the government discriminating against people. And I think that as a society, we have made the decision that we don't want people to be discriminated against. We can't have it both ways. So I would argue that diversity is of value. It's of great value. But how we get there is also of great value. The process, in my view, is even more important than the end result. We're entitled to equal treatment by our government. And we can't just define this away by calling it an equal opportunity program. What that means is that someone is presuming that there is not equal opportunity to begin with, and these programs that some call affirmative action, some call diversity programs, inclusion, are in fact going to bring about the equal opportunity that does not otherwise exist.
By the way, I'll have short follow-up questions myself. In insisting that the government be colorblind, yet understanding that race still plays a part in decisions that people make every day, is it smart to hobble the government into not being able to recognize or mitigate the effects on race in those decisions made?
In my view, discrimination is never justified. And we don't solve discrimination by empowering the government to discriminate.
But if you have a colorblind institution, would they even be able to handle this kind of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Would they even be able to recognize and mitigate that discrimination or prevent it in the future?
If an individual is discriminated against, that individual brings that grievance to the table. That individual knows that's why they're bringing the grievance. And then the government acts on that. But the government should not be in the position of saying, we believe there is discrimination and we're going to remedy this by taking your race into account and discriminating against somebody else in the process of doing that.
Rebuttal from the against side. What do you believe our state should be, race fair or should it be colorblind?
Can you hear this okay? Let me just be clear on one thing, since it was in response to something I said. There is not equal opportunity, okay? That is a fundamental ground that I'm coming from, okay? We just need to look at what's happening in our community and what our institutions look like to understand that equal access and equal opportunity is not there yet. Have we made great strides? Absolutely. And your word in there, absolutely. We have made great strides, but we're not there yet. It would be easy to say, yes, we should be colorblind. But I think, Ethan, your follow-up question gets to the heart of the point. Let's look at health disparities. Okay? Let's look at how diabetes is ravaging our Native American community. And if you look at rates of diabetes, it is extremely high within our Native American community. Well, if you're strictly saying, I have to be colorblind as a government, I'm not going to notice that. I'm not going to be able to identify that. And I'm not going to be able to come up with strategies to reach out to the Native American community to address diabetes that's going to be effective. You can't talk to me about diabetes the same way that you can to a completely different culture. We have to have culturally relative, culturally substantive care. Okay? Now, if we want to treat, someone once wisely said to me, if I can see if I can get it right, equality doesn't mean you treat all people the same. Okay? That's not how we get to equality. So I want colorblindness, that we treat everyone with respect. The comments that Representative Oda made at the beginning, no one supports discrimination. And I don't believe that Representative Oda or Mr. Connolly support discrimination. But when I talk about equal opportunity programs and policies, that is not discrimination. No one is going to be hurt by a targeted program to our Native American community to deal with a healthcare problem.
Quick follow-up question, Representative. So many Americans are desperate to leave these questions behind, to really have an America where we don't see discrimination. Can we get there, though, by constantly bringing it up, by constantly making it an issue?
You know what? That's the only way we're going to get there. We have to have, I applaud this conversation. I applaud the people here. This is the only way that we get to that idea of a colorblind society, that we're treating everyone equally, respectfully, regardless of our diverse backgrounds. We can't pretend like we're there. I can't pretend that I look into this audience, don't see people from multiple cultures and multiple places and their different life experiences. I have to accept that. I have to want to live in that. I have to want to talk about it, confront it. That's the only way that we get there, Ethan, is by being honest with one another, by having some honest dialogue, by learning from one another, and that's how we're going to get there.
And on.
I have profound respect for the other two on the other side, but I have to say that George Orwell would love this, because you're saying things that appeal to both sides, but you really mean something different. You're saying equal opportunity can only be achieved by treating people differently, and that is kind of mind-boggling. I would also add that this doesn't apply to public health. This doesn't apply to public health. If health agencies want to deal with diabetes, and as someone who has it, I can appreciate that. There's nothing that impedes them from doing that. This relates to public education, public employment, and public contracting.
Thank you very much. Next question for the panel speaking against. Both conservative and liberal America have women they consider to be potential candidates for the highest, most important job in America. Also, a decisive majority of Americans indicated by anonymous secret ballot that they're comfortable with a black man, Barack Obama, holding that same office. Affirmative action, some would say, was created in a very, very different era. Is it time to replace affirmative action with something more suited to this generation?
Now, I understand that this is a different time. I think that's true. I think affirmative action does need to be tailored to the time, but that's the whole point, is that in order to tailor it, we do have to see it. We have to see what exists. I believe that affirmative action has been extraordinarily effective. I think that Barack Obama is actually a beneficiary of affirmative action, as I think Mr. Connolly is as well. And I think that's terrific. I just think that it is not time. It is not over. I understand that there's a feeling that we want to get past that, but when we're past that, we know we will know it, and it's not now. So I certainly support tailoring programs that are appropriate to the times. But that's exactly what this constitutional amendment will not allow. And once again, I think it would be lovely to be colorblind, but we're not. We really aren't. And I look forward to the day when we are, but we're not there yet.